You
But
need a
this,
breaking news alert, Tony. We definitely need that.
yes.
Hey, Tony.
Good to see you. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing pretty good. So we're going to try something new today. And so for the audience, a little bit of background. Starting around the mid 2000s, I introduced Octobot, which is a user created on TONMO who captures stories related to cephalopods, so octopus, squid, nautilus, cuttlefish, fossils. And I weed out stuff that we don't want. Like, we don't want recipes for how to cook an octopus. No, we want stories that are about cephalopods, whether they're new discoveries or cephalopods represented in culture. I mean, I did put Squid Game up once, but I'm not putting it up, 10 stories for every episode. I try to filter through. I try to filter through and pick the good stories and things that are worthy of our audience's consumption. So you and I have taken a look over what Octobot has posted recently, and anybody can do this, of course. You can look at our forums, and there's a dedicated area. It's a little robot icon that covers all the Octobot stuff that gets published. And so every day, Octobot is bringing in news stories. So what did you see, Aaron, that was of interest to you? Anything off the Octobot news feed that you want to start with?
Yeah. So when I was scrolling on the news feed, kind of the one that caught my imagination first was one about fossils from Japan reveals squids evolved and dominated in dinosaur age seas. Now, this sounds clickbaity to me. I will admit that it 100% sounded like I was going to roll my eyes when I opened it, but I couldn't not click on the dinosaur link, right?
Right.
Fossils are are going to be fascinating regardless. And you know what? I wasn't disappointed. The article was about new research and a new type of imaging that is being done to fossil records, so that they don't have to destroy the records, the stonework, more than they already have. So now they're using digital imaging to recreate what is in the fossils. So they've been able to recreate ancient cephalopod beaks and are estimating kind of the size of these animals based on what we would see today in cephalopod beaks. And the reason why it caught my eye was because I've kind of looked into cephalopod records from the prehistoric eras, and we've got ammonites, and we've got the shelled cephalopods. But there's very little information about octopus or squid or how they developed that in-between stage. I was really kind of impressed with what they're doing and taking a new technique to try and determine what soft-bodied cephalopods there were around in prehistoric ages.
There was a guy who created some AI-based solution to read the Dead Sea Scrolls without destroying them. So we're now at the point with technology where we can take these dead screens, which is basically like just this clump of, dark, very delicate. If you try to open them, you destroy it. And many scientists in years past have taken these Dead Sea Scrolls and tried to carefully unravel it, and like, oh no, I've destroyed this record of whatever his secrets were hidden in this scroll are gone. And now we can run it through these. And I don't know if it's MRI or what, but I'll read the article too. Cosmos Magazine is the source of that story. You did one, so I guess it should be my turn. This one covers a story which I saw got picked up in a couple of different places, but Microbe, quote, flavors tell octopuses which babies deserve their care. So there was a study done here that basically extends on this concept, which I think we know, Aaron, right? That octopuses can essentially taste with their arms. We call it tasting, right? So they use their suckers, and we also know about their 9, independent thinking brains and what that really means. Harvard University biochemist Rebecca Sapella is cited as being the person who led the research. And that's an interesting kind of like deep click, if you will, into this behavior that that octopuses are known to have with their independent, exploring arms and the capability of the suckers to just kind of sense their environment around them. But going even further, it sounds like they're kind of keying off the micro biological residue or whatever that exists on whatever they're touching, and they're actually making some kind of cognitive inferences about, hey, this egg is healthier than this cluster of eggs. This one has the best chance of survival, so I'm going to give it a little extra TLC, or I better not eat that crab because it's going to make me sick. Interesting story there, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, it really plays into, um, you know, octopus behavior and cognition. We kind of we understand they're are intelligent animals, and we've seen examples of their problem solving, but we really don't fully understand kind of their own understanding of the world around them. And it's kind of fascinating to have this evidence of how they go about navigating, rearing their eggs and rearing their young, how they kind of assess which food is going to be best for them. I mean, you or I can just go to the fridge and pull out the milk and go, "Oh, whoa, that's gone off."
Sometimes I have
But
to look at the date to reinforce my belief, but yes.
it's interesting to think about octopus kind of essentially doing the same thing when they're kind of searching around their environment and grabbing something, going, "Oh no, maybe not that. That feels like it's gone off. That's past its best before date."
The team, they isolated 295 different strains of bacteria from, quote, biologically meaningful surfaces in the natural environments of California two-spot octopuses, interestingly. So the Bimac is a two-spot octopus, very commonly kept species of octopus in the TONMO community. They're tank-friendly. They tended to these false eggs for a while, except for those bacterially marked as bad eggs, which were quickly discarded. So the observation is that they are responding, as we might think they would, intelligently based on the makeup of the surfaces, which is really pretty interesting and incredible. Not surprising, but incredible to kind of have that testing brought forward to us so that we can understand them better.
Yeah, I mean, if you're an animal that's brooding hundreds of eggs, and you are having to put time and energy into ensuring that there's water flow and taking care of them, then I would say if there's a brood that's not doing well and there's bacterial growth on it, then it makes logical sense that you would put less time and energy into that and focus more on what you would deem the healthy young.
I'm wondering, and again, the octopuses and our ability to study them are so much different because they're benthic versus pelagic. Squid are pelagic; they swim in the open water column. But I guess squid aren't commonly touching much, except for their like very fleeting mating moments or anytime they're like eating prey. Whereas octopuses are living on the sea floor, on the seabed. They're constantly just kind of crawling and feeling and sensing and scavenging and
Mm.
pulling in shells to make their dens. So it's interesting. And
And I think that we can actually maybe kind of draw some parallels between the octopus brooding method of finding a cave and laying all the eggs and taking care of them versus squid, who will generally lay a gelatinous egg mass and it free floats in the ocean and they leave it. Or I think like shore squid or reef squid have big mass spawning and then lay all of their eggs in those kind of benthic gardens. I remember watching a documentary when I was a kid about the reef squid all laying these white egg masses and anchoring them in the ground, and it's like this deep sea, not deep sea, this oceanic forest of eggs essentially. But
yeah.
again, they kind of like leave them and die.
Yeah, unlike the octopus that kind of hangs in.
Yeah, there's one squid, the genus Gonadus. They are a brooding squid, and
Right.
they lay
They
the egg
carry them.
mass and they hold on to it. So
Yeah.
they're one exception.
There's always one. Let's move on from that story. Your turn. You're up.
I was looking at a headline: "New octopus species discovered in very deep ocean waters," which, of course, that's my bread and butter right there. I was like, "Ooh, new thing, awesome! It's deep sea, also awesome. I love this." And this, I mean, this had a picture of the new. It's a flapjack octopus or a pancake octopus. Um, one of the finned octopuses from the genus Epistoteuthis. But aside from that, there wasn't a lot of information about the animal. It was found off the coast of Australia. It's one of the deepest known cephalopods. And it talked a little bit about what other animals are known from the deep sea. There was a headline or a subheading that said that this flapjack octopus is unique. And I was like, awesome, that's great. Tell me how it's unique. And then it just kind of talked a little bit about Dumbo octopuses and how cool they are. And I agree with that. Definitely cool. But if it's going to be an article about a new species of deep sea octopus, I kind of want to know how they discovered it was new and what was interesting about it. So I mean, there's a couple of pictures of it, and it's talking about how this is from an under-researched area of the ocean. It talks a little bit about that at the end of the article. And this is generally thought to be kind of the Indian Ocean. We have a lot of deep sea data from the Pacific along the coast of North America. And we have a lot of information from the Atlantic. There's lots of research cruises that go into those areas. There's even more going out to the Antarctic now. But the Indian Ocean, we're kind of only just starting to send more cruises there. And so it feels like every time there's a biodiversity survey or some sort of deep sea cruise, we're finding new stuff. And that's really cool. So it's an animal from an area where we need to find more information. But the article itself, I just wish that there was more in it because it didn't tell me the things I wanted to know about this new animal.
I'm looking at the article, and this jumps out. It says, incredibly, scientists estimate that there are likely more than 1,000 new species, not just of cephalopods, but new species, waiting to be described from specimens already collected, already I inserted, but specimens collected on RV Investigator voyages over the past 10 years. As a scientist, as somebody who has done some of this stuff, Aaron, where you've gone into museums and you've looked at specimens, I did that at a conference once under heavy supervision. So I really know what it's like to be you. You've spent some time in museums looking at specimens.
Yeah.
Like, old specimens in a jar, decomposing, but see what you can get from it. Here's my question. What is the bar to put a specimen in a jar and have it sit in a museum? Or maybe it's not always in a lab or museum, maybe it's somewhere else. I don't know. But my question is, like, what drives science to say, this organism is interesting, I need to save it, I don't have the time to deal with it, so I'm just going to put it over here, and I hope that, Aaron will come by someday and be, inquisitive about it, and then we'll let him look at it and maybe discover something about it. I mean, does that happen a lot? I mean, because I read that paragraph, 1,000 species waiting to be described from specimens collected over the past 10 years. Just kind of strikes me that, wow, so there's just a bunch of like these interesting organisms lying around, and we're waiting to discover things about them, but who has the time?
No, you've literally
right?
hit the nail on the head, Tony. It's true. Museums bring back these specimens. Not even always museums, but research vessels will bring back specimens, or even fishing vessels will bring back bycatch that has come up in the nets, and they'll give it to museums. And sometimes the museum is able to look at something and go, "Oh yes, we know what that is." Put a label in it, put it in a jar, put it on a shelf, or we know what that is, but it's not something that we would like to keep in our museum. But then a lot of the time, they don't have time or they don't have the staff to be able to go through all of these different specimens and kind of figure out what every single thing is, especially when you're looking at cephalopods. If you don't have someone on staff who works on cephalopods regularly, everyone's just going to be staring at this table of octopus and squid going, oh, well, they're all octopus and squid. And so they don't have time, they don't have the resources. And so taxonomists can travel around, and when they are in the area and stopping by a museum, yes, we'll walk in and we'll kind of sit down at our workstation and they'll go, okay, so here's the question mark shelf. If you have some time, can you just look through it and see what's there? And we're really excited to. Like, that's fun. It's a mystery box. We love that. But as I know I've mentioned it before, and I know Austin mentioned it on the last Octopodcast, taxonomy is underappreciated. There aren't a lot of taxonomists. There isn't a lot of funding for it. So we kind of only rarely go to these institutions and are able to look at these mystery shelves. So, a statement like that, where there's about 1,000 animals that have yet to be discovered, even though we have them. Yeah, I can totally see that. That's pretty valid. And it just kind of really shows the importance of funding for science and funding for these organizations which house all of these collections and also make this information more accessible to the public.
Very interesting. We will do a Octopodcast with you and Austin, and there, because I want to continue this discussion. Like, I have some questions in my mind, but I'll save them for our what did we call it? The Cephalopodathon taxonomy.
Cephalopodathon, yeah.
All right, my turn. Yeah. We'll do Eclectic Octopus Mural livens up Rhinelander Bakery's exterior. That's from the Arvada Press. And
I saw that one too.
And it's holding there's a bluebird. It's holding a cup of tea or coffee, I guess. I guess it's a coffee shop. And there's a bluebird, which I don't fully understand just yet. But that is that's the new mural that is outside Rhinelanders. As a giant Pacific Northwest octopus climbs a tree stump in a forest, a western bluebird perches on its head while monarch butterflies fly around the octopus, which is also drinking a cup of coffee. It's a scene that's unlikely to be found in nature. Maybe an internet literacy test circa 2007. I know exactly what this is about. So there was the Northwest Pacific tree octopus. You remember that?
I remember that, yeah.
It still links to TONMO, actually. And I got a lot of traffic to TONMO came by way of that site, because that site went viral because a lot of people believed that there was a tree octopus because it was very realistic. It's interesting to reflect on that story here in the age of AI. I was thinking about our conversation on AI in Octopodcast a couple of episodes ago. And like, a lot of these problems, they're not new. Like, when I say things like, oh, pretty soon you won't be able to tell what's fake from real. But, there's always been Photoshop. Well, not when I say always, I mean, last, I guess 20 years or so, there's been Photoshop, but there's been doctored photos. If you follow UFOs, there are a lot of UFO hoaxes over many, many decades.
Loch Ness Monster.
Loch Ness Monster, right? With
yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. But I didn't realize that when I called up this story. But yeah, this octopus is sitting on a tree stump. And I guess that's a bit of an homage. Where is this located? I should probably have read that part too.
In Colorado.
Oh, it's in Colorado. Okay.
I love the mural. I think it's gorgeous. I find that, because octopus and squid are just these, amazingly enigmatic animals, creatives really seem to be drawn to them. No matter where I go in the world, if I see graffiti art, at some point in time, there's going to be an octopus on something. it's just one of those animals that artists seem to really be drawn to. So
Yeah.
yeah, I love cephalopod graffiti art. It's amazing.
So I've told this story a couple of times. I don't think I've ever told it. Maybe I mentioned it to you, but I'll do it again here. At the second TONMO the conference that we did, no, forgive me, it was the third TONMO that we did in Monterey Bay that you were at. That was a great event. And we had a break. We had a 15-minute break. And so I just went around and talked to everybody who showed up. There were like 60 or something like that. I think there were 60 or so people at that one. And there were two young women, and I went up and introduced myself, and I saw that they were just sitting there, and one of them was sketching in a notebook and sketching an octopus. It looked pretty cool. I was like, wow, that's really good. I'm like, so, what brought you here? Why, thanks for coming. They're like, oh, this is amazing. They're like, yeah, we work for Pixar. And we are studying everything we can about octopuses because there's, we're going to have an octopus character in an upcoming movie. And so we're just here for inspiration. And that blew me away. I was like, wow, that is amazing. That's super cool. I don't know if that fed into, I'm trying to remember the timing of things. I think I'm almost positive it was after Finding Nemo, but it was definitely before the Hank the Octopus character.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that was maybe the conference and all of your great presentations served as inspiration for the Pixar folks who are putting together that piece of art. So yeah, they do attract artist types, Aaron. You're right. Okay. Time for one more, Aaron. Do you have another story you want to offer up?
I think we need to talk about. Oops, I'm going to see if I can pull it up here. It was the Magnapinna one you sent. We got to talk about that.
Oh, yes. I think I left it. It's called "Scientist Finds World's Deepest Swimming Squid Ever." I'll send you the link.
It says that the thread's not there anymore.
I deleted it, but I left it. Oh, can I send to you? Let me send it to you in chat. From the Daily Sun.
From the Daily Sun, yeah. Scientists find the world's deepest swimming squid ever. Now, Tony, this was an article that you sent to me.
Yeah. Sorry, I should have read it.
I was really excited about it. You got my hopes up. And so I opened it and I started reading through. And it started off okay. It mentioned the big fin squid, Magnapinna, which love the big fin squid. Anytime that there's a sighting of that, super excited. But then the picture is not a big fin squid.
No.
And then I started getting disappointed. Now, that doesn't mean that the information in here is incorrect. They definitely could have found a big fin squid. There's they jump around between squid and octopus. They're changing locations. And the article was just all over the place. And then it finishes with researchers spotted a lone big fin squid swimming close to the seafloor while probing the ocean floor for more of the ship's wreckage. And it was just such a disappointment to my heart. And I thought, why did Tony send this to me?
Let's finish the sentence. Probing the ocean floor for more of the ship's wreckage using a crude deep submergence vehicle known. Period. Yeah. So thank you for replying back and saying WTF. That forced me to read the article. Appreciate that the picture shown was not related, but also that it was random. What's funny is it's not good enough to skim read because I probably did click the link. I probably blew right past the. I figured that's a stock photo.
Yeah, you would have seen Magnapinna.
Right. I mean, like, how often does that happen, right? So it's like, okay, it's specifying the depth 20,380 feet under the Philippine Sea. just above the ocean floor. Strange.
Yeah, I mean the article's just all over the place, and it's it's worthwhile to kind of bring this up because although you are going through and you're getting rid of a lot of the recipes and Squid Game related content that we don't need to be looking over on the Octopus news magazine online, it is worth noting that sometimes headlines can be misleading and they're not always going to send you to a completely great factual article. This felt really clickbaity to me.
Yeah.
And you have to be aware that even Octobot doesn't always pull up what we what we want it to.
Yeah, caveat emptor for sure. And yes, a good learning for me. I think this feature that we can call it, this kind of monthly review of the news or periodic review of the news, whatever it is. But I think this feature that we are embarking on here will help me be more disciplined when it comes to evaluating and publishing articles. And I'll probably also read them a little bit more deeply too, so I can be better prepared for our next conversation on Cephalopod News. But I enjoyed this greatly because really for years, let's admit, face it, I'm mostly doing this for myself. Meaning like when it comes to the news aspect of this, I am interested in understanding how the zeitgeist is addressing cephalopods in the world. And so Octopod's a great way to do that. I get to see what the news that comes in, and if there's something interesting happening, I can share it with the community. And I'll turn around, I'll post it on X too, if it's really big news or if I'm inspired to do so, basically. But every day it's going on TONMO. And so it takes a keen eye, and it's ever increasing given, the way that AI is writing articles for people now too. You just kind of have to be on the lookout for it. So this will help keep me honest, which is a good thing.
Well, and I think this is a good kind of thing to do every so often, just to kind of showcase the news articles that are coming through. For those of you that go onto TONMO and don't click on that little robot icon, every day Octobot and Tony are posting up articles about cephalopods. They're always in the news. So there's always amazing content to look through, and even we've been learning some great stuff today. So we've been learning. I've certainly been learning and discussing and enjoying. Definitely really appreciate you walking it through with me, Aaron. Very helpful and fun. And so I would say that this first implementation is a success, and I can see some areas where I can help improve it by doing a little more by doing a little more research on my own. But you need a breaking news alert, Tony. We definitely need that.
Yes. Yes, I need some news music, like the sound of typewriter, some old school, maybe smoky room. Maybe I need to modernize that a bit.
What kind of news sites are you looking at?
Bottle of whiskey, a few cigarettes. Aaron, thank you for your time today. I look forward to doing the next one. Hey, before I let you go, how's your Firefly Squid article coming?
That's a great question that we'll talk about on our next installment of the Octopodcast.
Excellent. I look forward to it. All right. So we know what the next topic will be on. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Thanks for having me, Tony. See you later.